Real
Jacob?
quick on yes. Real quick on the issue. Thank you for the question, by the way. Real quick on the issue of expert testimony. You should always take the testimony of nuclear experts with a grain of salt. Most of them are paid off by the industry, and they're not really
Your people too? Your people too?
Well, no, our people represent industry consensus, whereas theirs represent narrow interest. First and foremost, they contend that nuclear plants only cost $1 billion. However, their figures are based on about 30 years ago. The last nuclear plant that was built in the United States was built in 1978. Additionally, this doesn't take into account inflation, and it certainly doesn't take into account the specific quality of the affirmative, that is reprocessing. Reprocessing plants cost a lot more. They require special equipment. They require special installation to be placed inside the reactor to initiate the reprocessing reaction. They cost a lot more, and there are special liabilities associated with reprocessing. Additionally, she contends that people would be employed before construction. However, these employees, this opportunity is a lot more narrow because, I get 2 minutes too? Okay, anyway. You cannot just employ anyone in the nuclear industry. It's a lot more narrow because it requires special expertise, whereas renewable technologies, there is a much broader opportunity for employment. Additionally, she concedes that you would not even be able to begin construction until at least 2025. Pomper, their own site, indicates that this technology, Generation 4 reprocessing technology, is still in the prototype stage, and this is an optimistic assessment. Ada Becker, a respected expert in the nuclear field, puts the number closer to 2045. Additionally, she says that nuclear plants are being produced now and have been being produced, but once again, she's forgetting the fact that she's advocating reprocessing technology, and that's far down the road, and it costs a heck of a lot more. So at the end, you have to look at the fact that the evidence that she's trying to apply to her case doesn't really work because it's not specific to reprocessing. We, on the other hand, are reading their sources and providing some of our own, which offer contextual evidence as to the general unworkability of reprocessing projects in the United States and otherwise. Oh, and one more note on the United States. She's conceding the NRC, or Nuclear Regulatory Commission's, strenuous licensing procedures, which would make it even more expensive.
Question from our panel? Yes, sir.
Jacob, is it your point then that okay, guys. All right, here we go. All right, wise guy. Yeah. He's changed seats here. No. So is the affirmative wrong that when they say that nuclear power plants can be brought online for $1 billion?
Yes, they're wrong. Our estimates put it closer to $10 to $12 billion for a processing plant specifically, and that's not till between 2025 and 2045 anyway.
But you're talking about estimates. Are they wrong when Crystal says that power plants are being built in France and elsewhere for $1 billion? Is that just wrong?
Well, they're being built in different currencies, but also it ignores the NRC.
I'm not going to do that math for you, Jim.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It also ignores the NRC, and this is what I was trying to talk about when the timer went off. But the NRC is the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and their own site, Lawrence and Spencer, indicates that this regulatory body sets really onerous requirements on the specifications and the safety requirements for plants in the United States, and this increases costs necessarily. It also causes investors to shy away. So the situation in France and other places really doesn't apply to the United States, and in their own affirmative, they cite various regulatory barriers to implementation. However, they provide no remedy to this. And this really does come back and increase the cost by a lot. Moreover, our evidence from Lovins and Czech indicate that during the production of a nuclear plant, costs tend to increase. And
Dr. Deathridge, you have a question?
Let me see if I can turn the tail a little bit and see what the negative has to say about this with respect to their own proposal. You've advocated essentially, as I understand it, a renewable portfolio standard that would either incentivize or disincentivize, depending on how we clarify that difference, the development of solar and wind in particular are the examples that you defend. And I've heard a little bit from both teams about solar and wind potentially developing jobs and whatnot. And that's all interesting enough, but what I don't have any sense of is you're saying that it'll take till 2025 at the earliest to get the first power plants online, nuclear power plants online. I think at one point they said 2017. You say maybe as long as 2045, It takes a while. We all agree it takes a while, okay? They say that even if it takes a while, that they create jobs, you know, pretty much right away because you have to put the bricks down and whatnot. I get all that. I have no clue how long it takes to build a wind farm from Texas to North Dakota. I know that T. Boone Pickens told me that, you know, we could do it overnight back in the campaign. I know that solar sounds fuzzy and friendly and a lot nicer than nuclear energy, but I really have no sense or feel of what the definition of the counterplan is in respect to addressing the same questions. And so if you've got a reference point in the debate that helps to resolve that difference, then it would, I think, help go to Melissa's question about that. And the flip side for the affirmative is my one question for you is, okay, maybe roughly 20% of the electricity grid is based on nuclear now. Correct me if I'm wrong, factually, there are exactly two reprocessing plants in the United States today, neither of which are online, I don't believe. I could be wrong about that, and if I'm off base factually, then please correct me for the sake of the rest of the panel so I don't mislead them. While it may be commercially viable in France, you know, I'm interested how you intend to bring those two to commercial viability in either a quicker or more cost-efficient fashion, and how those timeframes and
Judy,
economies
Yeah.
compare.
can you take
Yeah.
the first part of Dr. Deathridge's question and then?
Well, first of all, for reprocessing plants, as per their Pomper evidence again, it states specifically that the prototype isn't ready and it won't be ready by 2025, but that doesn't mean that like designing and everything is done right now. The technology it might not have been like corrected. It's just saying that for construction and designing, et cetera, all that's needed for a plant to actually, you know, happen, it's going to take till 2025. While wind farms and et cetera, all that stuff, like in California, you already have those right now. The technology is ready. All we need to do is like have workers, enough workers to actually put it down.
Then
you
how
know?
do you resolve the fact that that's apparently only 2% of the energy grid in the present as compared to 20% for nuclear power?
Because the problem is with nuclear power, it's a quick fix, I suppose. It's a quick fix, but nobody thinks about like the implications about nuclear waste. It doesn't go away. No matter what, radioactivity will continue to be there for 10,000 years. And it's also highly subsidized by the government. So therefore, it has a lot of government help. While renewables, on the other hand, doesn't have as much help, and renewables, even though they're more viable and they don't produce as much waste. Oh, should I stop? Okay.
Okay.